My girlfriend found me a dream apartment through her uncle. I paid 3 months rent up front, but the key doesn't work and she's not answering her phone. I'm writing this because I honestly don't know where else to go. I feel like I'm going to vomit. My hands are shaking so badly I keep hitting the wrong keys. Here's the situation. I've been seeing Sarah, 23F, for about 4 months. It hasn't been super serious, but it's been intense. We met at a dive bar, hit it off, and basically haven't spent a weekend apart since. She's chaotic and funny and seemed to have her life together way more than I did. She works in event promotion, her words, so she's always meeting people, getting into clubs, knowing guys who know guys. I've been living in a shoebox with 2 other guys who are disgusting. Our lease is up in 10 days, and I was stressing about finding a new place because rent in this city is absolutely out of control. I'm a junior graphic designer, I don't make tech money. I was venting to Sarah about it 2 weeks ago, and she got this lightbulb look. "Babe," she said. "My uncle Marcus owns a few units in the arts district. He prefers renting to people he knows because the last tenant trashed the place. Let me ask him." 2 days later, she sent me photos. Exposed brick, massive windows, in-unit washer and dryer. The rent, $1,400, in a neighborhood where studios go for $2,800. I told her there was no way, but she insisted. "It's the family discount. He likes that you're a hard worker and not a party animal. Plus, I vouched for you." I met Marcus last Tuesday at the apartment. He was an older guy with slicked back hair, dressed nice but casual. He had the keys and showed me around. It wasn't some virtual tour scam, I was actually inside the unit. I checked the water pressure. I opened the fridge. It was real. He was charming, telling stories about Sarah when she was a kid, how she was always a firecracker. He said he didn't want to deal with credit checks or brokers because they take a cut and it's a hassle. He just wanted first, last, and 1 month's security. $4,200 total. We signed a lease on the kitchen island. It looked standard. I didn't have $4,200 sitting around. I drained my savings, sold my PS5, and borrowed $800 from my brother. I Zelled the money to Marcus on Thursday. Sarah was with me when I did it, smiling, talking about how we were going to decorate the place. Today was move-in day. I packed everything into a U-Haul and drove to the building. I had the key Marcus gave me. I went to the front door and the key fit but wouldn't turn. I wiggled it. Nothing. Tried again. Still nothing. A guy walked out with a dog, and I caught the door before it swung shut. "Hey, man," I said. "Just moving in." He looked at me strangely. "Moving in where?" "Unit 4B. He laughed. Not a nice laugh. "Buddy, nobody moves into 4B. That's an Airbnb unit. People are in and out of there every 3 days. My stomach dropped. I ran up to 4B. The key Marcus gave me didn't fit the apartment door either, it had a smart lock. I pounded on it until a terrified German couple opened it. They'd booked it on Airbnb for the week. I called Sarah. Straight to voicemail. I called Marcus. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." I've been sitting in this McDonald's for 3 hours, calling Sarah every 10 minutes. Her phone is off. I checked her Instagram and her profile is gone. Either deleted, or unblocked. I'm out $4,200. I have a truck full of my life parked outside that I have to return in 4 hours, and I have nowhere to sleep. Did she know? Was she in on it? He knew stories about her childhood, that had to be real, right? Maybe Marcus scammed her too. But then why is she ghosting me? I feel like such a fucking idiot. Update 1. It's been 24 hours. I didn't sleep. I ended up in the cab of the U-Haul in a Walmart parking lot because I couldn't afford a motel after the deposit I put down on the truck. My back is killing me. Sarah got a hold of me at 4 a.m., a text saying she'd lost her phone in an Uber and had just gotten her laptop connected to Wi-Fi. I FaceTimed her immediately. She picked up. It was dark and I could barely see her face, just shadows. "Sarah, what the fuck is going on?" I didn't mean to shout, but I was running on pure adrenaline and bad coffee. The key doesn't work. The apartment is an Airbnb. Marcus's number is dead. Long silence. Then she started sobbing, not just crying, but hyperventilating. "He did it again," she choked out. "Oh my God, he did it again." "Who? Marcus?" "He's not my uncle. He's my stepdad's cousin. He has a gambling problem. He told me he owned that place, Alex. He had the keys. I swear on my life I didn't know. I thought he was clean." My anger deflated a little. She sounded genuinely hysterical. "Okay. Stop crying. Where are you? We need to go to the police." "I can't," she whispered. "I'm at my mom's in Jersey. I came out here to confront him because he called me acting weird yesterday, asking if the money had cleared. When I got here, the house was empty. He's gone. He took my mom's car. Sarah, that money was everything I had. Plus my brother's money. I know. I'm going to fix it. I can wire you $2,000 today, just so you can get a hotel and storage. Please don't hate me. I'm going to find him. Send it, I said. Please. I have to go to the bank as soon as it opens. I love you, Alex. I am so sorry. She hung up. I sat there feeling confused. On one hand, the black sheep addict relative story makes sense. It explains how he had access to the unit, why he disappeared, and she'd offered to send money back. Scammers don't usually offer refunds. But something felt off. Why was her Instagram gone? I asked, and she said she'd deactivated it because Marcus had stolen her identity before to open credit cards, and she panicked when he started acting weird. Maybe that tracks. Maybe. I returned the U-Haul and put everything in a storage unit on a credit card I really shouldn't be using. Then I headed to my brother's place. I had to tell him I'd lost his $800. He took it better than I expected, mostly because I looked like a complete wreck. He poured me a whiskey and said we'd figure it out. Then he said, Alex, she's lying. You know that, right? I defended her. He just looked at me with a pitying expression that made me want to punch a wall. I've been waiting all day for the bank notification. It's 10 a.m. The banks are open. Update 2. She never sent the money. I waited all day at my brother's apartment. At 2 p.m. I texted her, any luck at the bank? No reply. At 4 p.m., Sarah? I really need that cash to pay my brother back. No reply. Calls went straight to voicemail. I started getting that sinking feeling in my gut again, the one that tells you you're being played. So I did some digging. I realized that in 4 months of dating, I'd never actually been inside Sarah's apartment. We always stayed at my place because her roommates were loud or her AC was broken. I'd dropped her off a few times, though, at a brownstone in the West Village. I took the subway down there and sat on the stoop for an hour until a girl walked out. Does Sarah live here? I asked. She looked at me like I was a creep. Who? Sarah, last name. Short, blonde, works in PR? No Sarah here. Just me and my 2 roommates. We've been here a year. I tried the next building. Same story. Then I went back to the building where the apartment was. The doorman on shift was different. I showed him a picture of Marcus. Yeah, I've seen him, the doorman said. But that's not the owner. He was staying in the Airbnb unit last week. Rented it for 5 days. So Marcus had rented the Airbnb legitimately, gotten the keypad code during his stay, brought me in like he owned the place, took my money, and checked out. Then I showed the doorman a photo of Sarah. Oh yeah, the girl, he nodded. She was with him. They came and went a bunch of times. Holding hands, giggling. I figured they were, you know. Together. Together. Not uncle and niece. Together. I felt the blood drain out of my face. You're sure? This girl? Positive. She was wearing that exact red coat I threw up in the gutter outside the building. She wasn't a victim. She wasn't just in on it. She was the bait. The whole thing, meeting at the bar, the relationship, the apartment, was the job. Back at Dave's apartment, I pulled up my bank statement. The Zelle transfer went to Marcus J. Reynolds. I googled it. Nothing. Probably a mule account. Then at 11 p.m. my phone buzzed. Sarah. Alex, I'm so sorry. I got arrested. I tried to confront him and things got physical. They took my phone. I'm at the station in Newark. I need someone to come get me. Please. I have the cash on me, I got it from him before the cops came. I just want to give it to you and explain. My brother told me not to go. He said it was another layer of the same trap. But she said she had the cash. $4,200. If I went, I could get it back. If I blocked her, it was gone forever. The police weren't going to do much about a Zelle scam, everyone knows that. This felt like my only shot. She texted me an address, not a police station. A diner near Newark, Pennsylvania. They let me go but I can't wait there. Meet me at the Galaxy Diner in 45 minutes, please come alone. I'm scared. I got on the train. I had a pocket knife in my jacket. I knew it was stupid. I knew it was dangerous. But I was so angry I couldn't see straight, and I needed to look her in the eye. Update 3. I got to the Galaxy Diner around midnight, one of those chrome and neon places that looks depressing at the best of times. I scanned the booths. She was in the back, wearing a hoodie I'd never seen, makeup smeared, hair messy. She looked small. I slid into the booth opposite her. Didn't say hello. Just put my hand flat on the table. The money, I said. She flinched. Alex, you have to listen to me. I know about the Airbnb, Sarah. I know you stayed there with him. The doorman told me. She went pale. Then she launched into a new story. Marcus wasn't her boyfriend, he was someone she owed money to, bad people, he'd forced her to run the scam just once, he'd stolen her phone and gone through her contacts and picked me specifically because of how much I trusted her. Bullshit, I said, and hit the table. A waitress glared at us. You brought the idea to me. You showed me the photos. Because he made me, she hissed, leaning in. He has videos of me. I didn't have a choice. When I realized he was actually going through with it on you, I tried to stop him. That's why I'm here. I took the money back from his bag while he was sleeping. She pulled out a thick white envelope and slid it across the table. I grabbed it. It felt heavy. I opened the flap and saw a stack of hundreds. The relief that hit me was almost physical, I felt tears prick my eyes. I said, okay. We're done. I never want to see you again. You need to leave now, she said, eyes on the door. I stood up. I had the money. I was walking out. Then the door chimed. 2 guys in tracksuits walked in, scanning the room. Sarah saw them and slid under the table. Those are the guys I owe, she whispered. Marcus told them I took the cash. Run. I ran out the side door. I could hear footsteps behind me. I sprinted toward the train station, turned a corner, hopped a fence into a construction site, and crouched behind a dumpster, clutching the envelope, heart hammering. I waited 20 minutes. Nothing. I pulled the stack out to count it in the dim light from the street. Top bill, $100. Second bill, $100. Third, a piece of paper cut to the size of a bill. Fourth, same. Fifth, same. The entire stack was blank paper sandwiched between 2 real hundreds. $200. That's all she gave me. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. I'm sorry, Alex. I really did like you. But Marcus said if I didn't get him more time to get out of the state, he'd release the videos. Those guys aren't loan sharks, they're his friends. They just needed to scare you off. Thanks for not checking the envelope inside. You're a sweet guy. Too sweet. I was standing on the platform at Newark Penn with $200 and a pocket full of cut paper. So I went back to the diner. The waitress told me, for a 20, that they'd left in a blue Honda Civic with a dented bumper, headed toward the turnpike. Useless. Then I looked more closely at the paper from the envelope. She hadn't cut up blank printer paper. She'd cut up club flyers, for a venue called the Vibe Room in Queens. On the back of one strip, caught in the cut, was a partial handwritten note in Sharpie, list, Sarah +2. Ask for Manny. She works in event promotion. She didn't have time to find blank paper, so she grabbed what was in her bag. I looked up the Vibe Room. Closes at 4 a.m. I checked their Instagram story from an hour earlier. In the background of a DJ video, in the VIP section, there was a blonde girl in a hoodie holding a sparkler bottle. And a guy with slicked back hair pouring Grey Goose. My money. My rent money. Bottle service. I got in an Uber. I was 20 minutes away. Update 4. I made it to the Vibe Room around 3:45 a.m. The bouncer was enormous. I showed him the flyer scrap with the Manny note on the back and said I was with Sarah, blonde, red hoodie, VIP. He looked me up and down. I looked like hell. But it was 15 minutes to close, and he waved me through. The music was skull-rattling. Strobe lights made everything look like a horror film. I pushed through the crowd and found the VIP section, raised, velvet rope. There they were. Sarah was standing on the couch dancing, holding a sparkler bottle. Marcus sat next to her, texting, looking smug. She wasn't scared. She wasn't coerced. She was laughing. I vaulted over the rope. I lunged at Marcus, grabbed him by the collar, yanked him off the couch. He stumbled and knocked the table, Grey Goose, mixers, ice bucket, everything hit the floor. Marcus is older, maybe 50, but solid. He recovered instantly and drove a fist into my ribs that knocked every bit of air out of me. I doubled over gasping. Security. Sarah screamed. She didn't sound scared. She sounded pissed. 2 bouncers were on me in seconds. One grabbed me in a chokehold. The other wrenched my arm behind my back so hard I thought it snapped. As they dragged me backward, I saw Sarah scrambling to pick up their things from the wet floor. My flailing foot caught the table again and sent a black leather satchel sliding across the liquor-soaked floor. It skidded right to my hand. I grabbed the strap on instinct. They threw me out the side exit into the alley. I scrambled up, expecting Marcus to follow. The door slammed shut and locked. I ran 2 blocks until my ribs hurt too much to keep going. I collapsed in a doorway and looked at what I was holding. It wasn't Sarah's bag. It was a satchel, Marcus's. Inside, a tablet, a heavy ring of keys, and a spiral notebook. I got back to my brother's place. One eye swollen shut, lip bleeding. Dave iced my face and we opened the notebook. It's a ledger. Dates, names, amounts, roles. I found my entry immediately. Alex, $4,200, appointment scam, Sarah, primary. Primary. Not bait. Primary. We flipped back through it. Dozens of names. Dogs, tickets, sublets, apartments. And next to my name, in handwriting that looked disturbingly like Sarah's, she used to leave me sticky notes on the fridge, a margin note, easy mark. Desperate. No support system locally. She didn't just help him. She scouted me. We tried to unlock the iPad. Dead ends on her birthday, the day we met, the obvious codes. Then I remembered something small. When Marcus showed me the apartment, he punched a code into the smart lock. I'd watched his fingers. Top left, bottom right, top right, bottom left. 1, 9, 3, 7. The iPad unlocked. It was logged into Telegram. A group chat, not just Sarah and Marcus, 4 other people. They shared leads, shared photos of targets. There was a photo of me asleep in my bed at my old apartment. This one sleeps like the dead. Going through his wallet now, I threw up on my brother's rug. All the time she lost her keys or forgot her wallet, she was testing how much I'd let slide. Dave called the police non-emergency line. They told us to come in the morning. Then Sarah texted from a new number. You have something of mine. You have 1 hour to bring it to an address in Brooklyn. If you go to the cops, I'll send the videos to your boss, your mom, and everyone on your LinkedIn. Dave said she was bluffing. Releasing private recordings would be a revenge porn felony. I pointed at the notebook. These people don't care about felonies. We got in Dave's car. As we pulled out, a blue Honda Civic with a dented bumper turned onto our street with its high beams on, slowed as it passed us, then spun around and followed. Dave floored it. We got on the highway and I opened the Ring app on the iPad. A notification had come in. Live feed. Not an apartment, a house. Suburban, nice. A woman opened the front door in a bathrobe. Marcus? Honey? Did you forget your keys again? I took a screenshot and texted it to Sarah. Tell Marcus his wife says hi. Back off, or I find her and tell her everything. The Civic dropped 2 car lengths back, then took the next exit. We pulled into the 104th Precinct parking lot. I was shaking so hard I couldn't feel my fingers. Update 5. We were at the precinct for 6 hours. A detective named Miller finally sat down with us after the desk sergeant saw the notebook. He looked through it. Watched the casing videos on the iPad. You know who this guy is? He asked, pointing to a picture of Marcus. He told me Marcus. That's Anthony DeLuca. We've been trying to nail him on a real estate fraud scheme for 2 years. He's careful. Never keeps physical records. He tapped the notebook. This is gold, son. Stupid, arrogant gold. What about Sarah? Miller frowned. We don't have a Sarah in the file. We have a Chloe, a Jessica, and a Tiffany. All fit the description, blonde, petite, meets guys at dive bars. She's the scout. They took the iPad and notebook into evidence. Took our statements. Told us to go home and lock our doors. We're issuing warrants, Miller said, but a judge has to sign off. That takes time. Go home. Do not engage. If they contact you, call 911. We got back to Dave's place and barricaded the door with a chair. I sat on the floor charging my phone and feeling nothing. The adrenaline was gone. Now there was just the heartbreak. The girl I thought I was building something with was a line in a ledger. She was running a script the whole time. Then an email came in from a secure address. Subject, goodbye, you played a better hand than I thought you had in you. Marcus is losing his mind about his wife. You ruined his life, congrats. I'm gone. The police won't find me. I was leaving anyway, you just sped up the timeline. P.S. I really did like the way you made coffee. That part wasn't a lie. She was running. And then I remembered the keys. The police had taken the physical key ring, but I'd photographed the tags before handing it over. One tag didn't have a unit number. It just said, storage, LIC. Long Island City. And in the iPad's Notes app, there was a code I hadn't mentioned to Detective Miller because I hadn't understood it until now, LIC gate, 4490#. Storage facilities in LIC are 24-hour access. If she was clearing out before she disappeared, she'd need her stash first. She wasn't leaving empty-handed. I knew the smart move was to call Miller. But Miller said warrants take time. Dave was asleep on the recliner. His car keys were on the table. I took them. Update 6. I drove to Long Island City. I know. The storage facility was one of those orange and gray places on a dead industrial block, the kind where nothing looks open but the lights are always on. I punched in 4490 hash at the gate and it swung back. I found the unit with the LIC tag for my photo. A roll-up door, padlocked. I'd taken the physical keys from the precinct evidence. No, I hadn't. The cops had them. I stood there like an idiot for a second before I realized I could hear something from inside. Movement. A soft thud, then the sound of tape being pulled from a roll. I took out my phone and called Detective Miller's direct number, which he'd given me on a card. It was 6 a.m. He picked up on the third ring, sounding like a man who expects bad news. "It's Alex. I'm at a storage facility in Long Island City. I think she's inside. I have the unit number." Silence. Then, "Don't move. Don't knock, don't speak, don't let her know you're there. What's the address?" I gave it to him. He told me to stay on the line and step outside the building. 12 minutes later, I watched the clock. 2 patrol cars pulled up without sirens. Miller arrived 5 minutes after that in plain clothes, looking like he'd dressed in the dark. They went in. I waited outside by Dave's car with my hands in my pockets and my ribs aching from where Marcus had hit me. She wasn't alone. There were 2 rolling suitcases, several plastic totes, and a woman I didn't recognize who turned out to be the Tiffany from Miller's file, the third scout. They'd been consolidating. Running out their last jobs and pulling out before things got too hot, which, apparently, they already were, because Miller told me afterward that they'd already had a partial warrant pending for DeLuca from a separate complaint filed 2 months ago. Our notebook was the thing that pushed it through. They arrested Sarah, whose real name, I found out later, is Kayla, at 6:22 in the morning. She didn't scream or cry. She looked at me when they walked her past, and her face was completely flat. Not angry, not ashamed. Just done. Miller took my statement again at the facility. He was not thrilled that I'd driven out there alone, and he made sure I knew it. But he also said that if I hadn't called him when I heard movement inside, I'd probably be looking at obstruction charges myself, and to remember that the next time I decided to do something like this. I rode back to Dave's in the passenger seat of his car. Dave had woken up, noticed the missing keys, and come to find me, because of course he had. He didn't say much. He handed me a gas station coffee and drove. I filed a civil restitution claim as part of the criminal case. Miller said with the notebook as evidence and the matching Zelle records, recovery was realistic but slow. I shouldn't expect anything for at least a year, possibly longer. I borrowed another $300 from Dave to cover the next month's storage fees and started looking for a room on Craigslist. I found a place 3 weeks later. A room in a 4-bedroom in Ridgewood, 2 stops from work, $900 a month. My roommates are a nurse and a guy who does something with data and leaves his dishes in the sink. Normal stuff. Annoying, normal stuff. I'll take it. I don't think about Sarah, Kayla, the way I thought I would. I don't miss her exactly. What I miss is the version of the situation I thought I was in, the apartment with the exposed brick, the 2 of us deciding where to put a couch. That wasn't real, and I think I knew something was off the whole time and just didn't want to hear it. My brother got his $800 back about 8 months later, from the civil judgment, which came through faster than Miller expected. I paid him $200 extra for the trouble and the whiskey. DeLuca, Marcus, was picked up in Philadelphia 6 weeks after the arrest at the storage unit. He'd gone to stay with his wife's cousin and apparently hadn't mentioned to anyone there that he was a wanted man. He's facing federal wire fraud charges and a list of state counts long enough to make his lawyer look tired. The ledger had 41 names in it. 41. I'm a graphic designer, not a detective, and nothing about this went the way it should have. But I have a room, I have my brother, and somewhere in a box in my Ridgewood closet I have a printed screenshot of a woman in a bathrobe asking her husband if he forgot his keys again, the moment the whole thing stopped being completely hopeless. I'm doing okay. Hi there, if you made it so far. Consider dropping a like and maybe subscribing. Thanks. And have a nice one.